Well, we have to do the newspapers. Mama V say, Mama, how was your weekend?
It was okay. I mean, a lot of monitoring because you wanted to know what was happening with the coronavirus, but it was a very quiet weekend. And then yesterday, the president spoke.
Yeah.
And it was almost suddenly like everything had come to a standstill for me. Yeah,
I think so. His speech, really, or the directive, I have to call it, was the icing on the cake, but that many had been waiting for. And I believe it's better late than never. And because the cases from China had been trickling in fast and very much in between since January. And for many of the times when we're speaking, we always say we needed to make references to what the more developed countries were doing, because even for them, with the best of the healthcare systems they had, were having difficulties. And I believe that this was the best directive that could have come in any day.
I think
because the speculations and the fears were just gathering the momentum that they were, and those were things that we needed to be worried about.
I think the press conference at the Information Ministry with the Ghana Health Service and the Ministry of Health, I think that was the one that, when they said we had confirmed 4 other cases, because that was really not, I wasn't expecting that. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but that kind of like hit home, like really we're recording more than 2. Something is happening, we've got to take some strong measures. So here we are. And apparently some parents haven't heard the news that there is no school today for school children. So there are school children who are waking up, dressing, because some parents have even left home, gone to the markets, and they have dressed and gone out to school. But there isn't any school. And I think some of the schools also didn't do well with the communicating to parents after the president spoke and gave that directive. So maybe heads of institutions could do that this morning before more people leave home to want to go to school, because not many people got the message last night. Yeah.
We'll have some time to comment on this, maybe some few minutes, but let's just run through the newspaper. We start with...
All right, the Daily Graphic, The Finder, the Daily Statesman, the Business and Financial Times, the Independent, and the Ghanaian Times newspaper. So let's begin with the Daily Graphic newspaper, front page. Nation confronts COVID-19 head-on, public gatherings cancelled, schools closed down. CSM kills 18 in Upper West. Landfill site poses danger to residents. Daily Graphic, formidable development partner Dr. Lecha declares at Volta Regional Spotlight launched. In the center spread, there's a news feature, help young people dying from, is it silicosis?
Silicosis.
Yeah, but this is silicosis. Okay, let's see. Well, it's a feature. And apparently this is a disease that attacks young men, particularly engaged in illegal mining. They are dying from a terminal disease called silicosis. That's what it is. So the center spread is full of the activity of mining, mainly illegal. And then it tells us the danger associated with this, particularly with this disease. On the back page, though, Olympics picked Liberty Mediama Wafa win away matches. But the GFA has also suspended the league, as in, so no games going forward because of the coronavirus. The Ghanaian Times newspaper, but that story I didn't see in the Daily Graphic. It's not on the back page of the graphic, by the way. It's just the games that were played and the results on the back page. So let's do the Ghanaian Times.
And it's because at the time they went to press, that directive hadn't come in.
So front page of the Times, government advises visitors against travel to Ghana. Pong youth threatening demo against Overage landfill site, urges government to shut it down. On the coronavirus update, Ghana braces to combat COVID-19 as Ghana Health Service announces 4 more new confirmed cases. And I guess, again, because the president's directive came pretty late in the day, they couldn't capture, because they did capture that of the information ministries in terms of the travels, the travel advice, but not the closure of schools.
So the travel advice was reinforced in the directive of the president.
Yeah. All right, but 4 perished, 21 injured in 2 separate accidents near Tichamante. That story is also on page 3 in the center spread. Government advises visitors against travel to Ghana as part of fight against COVID-19. GJ appeals to media to report responsibly on COVID-19. Ghana to host AU Africa Youth Congress in September. Well, September is pretty long. Because if it was immediately, then we would have said, well, that cannot happen because of the new directives that we've been given. On the back page, though, Abekwe saves day for Oli. Ajiman's brace sink Legon cities. Kotoko Hearts in action today. They're not in action today, are they?
No, they are not.
Okay, so this has effectively changed, and we'll get a lot more details when Benedict joins us in reviewing sports this morning, because a lot has changed between 10 p.m. and this morning. Plenty more things that have changed.
We have to say that over the last 24 hours, Ghana has joined not only Mexico but Brazil, who also have called off their league already. England had and a number of the leagues in Europe,
as well.
and a number of the leagues had and I think it'll trickle in during the day, and we should expect more of this.
Let's do the Finder newspaper, front page of the Finder now. Travel restrictions tightened as COVID-19 cases rise to 6. Maritime Authority removes 10,000 tree stumps on 30-kilometer Dambai, Jare, Tumpunja. Roland, save me with the names.
Tumpunja. Yeah, you're right.
No, there's more.
Kudokope crossings.
Oh, that's it? Okay, that's like home. Kudokope, I could have said that. Also, GES directs all schools to suspend all public activities. Well, there's even a heavier directive following that of GES. No schools at all. They've been shut down. So this actually overrides what had been said by the GES in their earlier release. Also, frontline healthcare workers of COVID-19 to get incentives. Let's do the Independent. The Independent newspaper says fuel prices to fall by 8%. I thought we were thinking 15%. Okay, but they say by 8%.
That's their prediction.
Today is 16th, isn't it? So today is the day that we will see that adjustment. On coronavirus, these are not ordinary times. President issues stern directives. Absolutely, these are not ordinary times. Do more for the poultry sector. It could boost the economy and reduce unemployment. That's according to GAPFA. And that will be it for the day. No, the Independent. So let's do the Daily Statesman. Front page on coronavirus. Threats, institutions suspend public gatherings. Offices closed. Also, don't come to Ghana now. Government imposes travel ban on countries with over 200 COVID-19 cases. 1.4 billion Ghana cedis for water projects this year. Headlines captured on the front page of the Daily Statesman. Final one is the Business and Financial Times on coronavirus. This is Coronanomics. Early $3 billion US dollar Eurobond issuance, a smart move. Extra 63 million would have been paid if bond was raised this month. Don't go on. Okay, you want to do?
And I have to say that following this, even though this means that we're counting our gains, meaning that if you look at the interpretation, government has been proactive so that the market out there wouldn't have been a bit laxed in trying to express.
It would have been
their
impossible,
interest.
really.
The U.S. has they have also reduced their interest rate. It has usually implications for us in the third world or the so-called developed countries, as it were. And ultimately, we're likely to feel the pinch, because if you take a look at our budget, 60% of how much we spend as a country, what we budget for, comes from outside, multilateral donors, from these bonds, etc.
Well, don't go on strike. Aviation Minister urges airport staff as COVID-19 puts industry in crisis. Maritime Authority removes deadly tree stumps on Oti River. Plenty more other headlines on the front page of the Business and Financial Times. Roland will do the rest of the papers.
Yeah, just do about 3 of them. I have Daily Dispatch has on the front page. MPP Kumewu slot for battle ready. And it has a picture of a Deputy Trade Minister, Dr. Humkanlentse, Mr. Baswa, Mr. Edward Osei, and Philip Bano, Dr. Philip Bano there, all battling for the Kumail seat. We do know that the primary is supposed to take place next April. That's next month, as it is. You're going to get all the update right here on the election headquarters. And we are your foremost election headquarters. Now, agenda analysis of political appointment in Ghana since 1956. This is a great compilation. I've gone through. Looks very educative, just like many other related things we'll be bringing to you right here today. MPA pilot second phase of CRM in Obuasi, and CNN exposes how Russia is using some Ghanaians to interfere in U.S. elections. And if you watch the story, you also read the stories emanating from the piece. You'd also get to know how elections could also be influenced by many other related elements. It speaks volumes. One of Ghana's COVID-19 victims works in UNDP office in Accra. That is now well known. Let's go to the Daily Guide. The Daily Guide has on the front page, coronavirus catches 6 Lagos student positive, government restrict travels, and robber cop jailed 40 years, all on the front page of the Daily Guide, and 3 die in teacher Mante accident. Center spread, not yet, but let's go to the back page. Says Grace Ibrahim shines at GMPC Ghana Fastest Meet. On the side, Pogba combat coronavirus, and we're told by this story through fundraising. He hasn't played in months. I think the greater part of the season. We have to be more specific. Down there though, Ronaldinho, the former Barcelona and World Cup great, is doing well as he gets his time in a Paraguayan prison. Yeah. He's enjoying, it's like, you know, sometimes these are just one of those things in life. Now let's go to the last paper. I'll be looking at the Custodian. Government imposes travel ban on COVID-19 countries. 6 cases recorded in Ghana. That's the Custodian. Meanwhile, up there we have probe National Blood Service over the death of a student. And that's a demand coming from the Member of Parliament for Efutu, Alexander Ponyo Markin. Speaker Okwe donates 10,000 Ghana cedis to PPC Education Fund. And saga of salmonella, contaminated gizzards imported to Ghana. An international animal health expert's point of view is a part 1 of the publication. Make sure you grab a copy of the Custodian to get to know what really this publication is about. Mamavi, we have
we can do myjoyonline.com. Just catching up on the story that's been published on the BBC as well. So maybe from My Joy Online, we can do a bit about the BBC. There's a Kenyan man who posted a story on Twitter, and it said, the government has lied to us. They said the lady is called and gave the name, and she came yesterday from Rome, boarded in this plane. I'm a staff of KQ, and I know what happened. So apparently that post on Twitter about their first confirmed case was fake. So this person was talking about how the government had lied about the confirmed case in Kenya. And that person has been, so he actually used the fake Twitter account to do that post. But it's an offense, a cybercrime offense. He could be fined up to about $50,000 or so.
You should be fined.
So yeah, so a lot of action
that fine should take
taken
place
on the African continent. If we can do myjoyonline.com, then we can run you through some of the rest of the things that are happening elsewhere. All right, so on coronavirus, government orders closure of schools and universities, bans public gatherings. University students jubilate after latest directive on coronavirus. So this is happening at the UCC campus last night. I mean, students will simply be students. Coronavirus case in Ghana jumped to 6. Gridco apologizes for Saturday's power outages in many parts of the country. We continue to still experience it even after Saturday with either low currents or faces going off. There are many things like that happening in almost every community. So it's not just the power completely going off, but the currents going low and some faces going off. We have to watch that. Police rearrest teacher who raped her students as case is transferred to the High Court. This is very interesting. I don't know, Roland, if you paid attention to this one. He had been sentenced to 13 years and had served some of that sentence, was it? And then had been, yeah. Well, I have to check if it's the same story. If it's the same story, because it sounds like and it looks like the same person. Group urges EC to shelve plans to compile new voters register. Many questions after, you know, the president gave those directives yesterday. There are plenty more things that we're asking. Can we do it? So if you have a wedding this weekend on Saturday, can you go ahead and
you should go ahead?
And if you have a funeral on Saturday, can you go ahead? Do you have to reduce the number of people who can attend?
Because the directive of the president
ceremony
is specific. He says that there's a ban on funerals, but for private ones with 25 in attendance.
But you know, in Ghana we don't do 25. We hardly do those private.
So all normal funerals should be converted to private funerals.
Because even private funerals in Ghana, the numbers are way more than 25 when they say it's a private funeral.
So you convert your private funeral you would have undertaken or convened pre-ban to 25 people, and you'll be fine. This is even the best time to marry, because then you're not going to spend money. Seriously, I mean, we're not joking. I'm not joking with this, and this is a personal view.
Sure.
And you know how I always say that we have to make sure that young people do the commitment,
but it's a personal choice. Somebody could hold on to their wedding and wait till, you know, these rough
I'm saying
times,
this is my opinion.
We cross this whole hurdle, and then they
if I were people, I would have planned quick. That's the time.
There are plenty more.
Only
stories.
5 people at my wedding: my father, my mother, my sister.
Okay, Ronald, let's do the other stories of Major Online before we run off. Hindu group hosts cow urine drinking party to ward off coronavirus. Interesting times. People are doing some crazy stuff. Ghana, let's go down a bit. So UAE suspends issuance of all entry visas from March 17. That's from tomorrow. Ghana shuts borders to travelers from coronavirus hit countries. A lot of actions, a lot of stories really that you want to catch up on. The thing about these times, there are a lot of stories coming out. You may not be able to, you know, listen into all, so it will be good for you to explore yourself. This is the BBC. South Africa joins Kenya in banning foreign visitors. Tourists from the US, UK, Italy, and other high-risk countries will be banned from Wednesday. The Ministry of Ethiopia's kidnapped students. A challenge for the continent. In Rwanda, there's the hand-washing challenge as well that was started really by the president, and others are picking up. And if you monitor, it looks like Ebola, you know, there are things that they still have from Ebola, because just across in the DRC, in Congo, there was Ebola. But Ebola didn't get to Rwanda, but they did prepare because of that scare. And they're continuing with some of the things that they started. So a lot of them are used to what's happening today, and they're strongly still continuing on it. So plenty more stories on all the website. We're pretty much on coronavirus. Here's also one elsewhere outside Africa. New York City closes schools and bars.
Restaurants
they join
as well.
Italy, they join Spain, and then, France as well.
And we expect many more countries to follow suit, because, you know, the baggage that these administrations in these countries carry is that they didn't start or impose these bans as early as possible. And that's why for Ghana, we're happy with the directive coming in quickly, even though, personally, I thought it should have come like a month ago. But this is good, because then it restricts movement of many people. That's a good one.
So there's an interesting picture of Biden and Sanders there. This has to do with the Democratic debate that went on. I guess for us it will be yesterday. And that was how they shook hands, if you like, in quotes. And then, you know, Biden saying he wants a woman VP. and a lot more if you missed it. And I guess a lot of us may have missed it. You can catch up on it.
Yeah.
Well, sporting activities, Benedict will be here in some few minutes, but really, like, everything has been halted, if you like. Very few activities in the world of sports, but the Ghana Premier League also suspended amidst this whole coronavirus scare. Roland, there's something you want to say?
Yeah. And, you know, I'm very close to some health personnel because of relations that I have. And, for example, there's a case I was recording at Tema General Hospital. And I'm going to cite this because the person had lived with somebody who had tested positive or had associated with somebody who had tested positive in Germany. And the person came to Ghana and felt the symptoms, so drove himself to the hospital. Now, the question, and that is why we're saying this, is that somebody took the onerous responsibility of saying, look, it looks like I have to heed to the call based on the education, and I have to go to the health facility. Now, the related concerns are, who did he get into contact with?
That's the contact tracing.
Exactly.
Yeah. How
can we trace them? And these are questions that we have to ask ourselves. Even if you live in your house at Kuntunse, and I live in my house at Ajekwijo, and I leave the house, my family even don't know where I am. The state authorities don't know. So if the state authorities are saying they are doing contact tracing, how are they doing?
Oh, it depends on the information that you give them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And those are the concerns.
But I think people should, you know, have taken that responsibility. If you went to any of these countries or even traveled, once you were back, you could have, you just self-quarantine. That would have.
And I know many people who have been to some of these countries, for example, to the US, etc.
Come back and mingle with everybody else.
Over the last week, they've been going left, right,
center.
That's not fair.
That isn't fair. If you know you've been out there for about a week now or whatever it is, take the necessary precautions, prevents other people from getting it. So self-quarantine after the 14 days, no signs, then you can get out there and do whatever it is that you want to do. I think we should be responsible as ourselves,
each other's keeper,
as individuals. Yeah. Stay with us. We'll bring you some sports, but there's plenty more conversation on this coronavirus. We'll keep you updated with everything that you've missed since 10 p.m. last night when the president spoke. All of that coming up here on our show. You've got to stay with us.